All right, so what's my next project? I guess it's going to be this from Buildiful. And what we have here is it's not officially licensed, so they can't really use any IP stuff such as Blade Runner or I guess Spinner either. But this box looks legit. Like it's like it's got all the stuff here on the side and pictures, and it's kind of glossy, and we'll see how the parts look like. And it comes with a stand. I'm curious. This is very similar. I was just doing some research on, not so much a research, but I just did a search on YouTube to see what Blade Runner builds were there. And I came across one from Test It with Adam Savage. And he got one, I think it's probably sent to him by basically, I think it's custom built. You can probably find the instructions perhaps on Rebreakable, but I think this was some set that was from Brick Vault, I think is what it's called. I don't remember sorry, forgive me if I don't remember the exact designer's name for that kit. But yeah, it was pretty cool looking, and it looks very similar to this, actually. Um, just based off how the windows are designed, just looking at some of the various details. I mean, he had some prints, but then I think it was early stages. This was about 6 or 7 years ago. And yeah, it looks very similar to this, but I'm just curious. Like, I think one thing that's different is these are very similar. I just noticed I was paying particular attention to the front, and I think maybe this area might be done a bit differently than the one that was shown in that video. This seems a bit more squared in my opinion, but something about the way that these lights looks kind of like that, and definitely the way they did this part. And I'm looking at the mirrors, and again the window pieces are like kind of two pieces that are joined from both sides. Actually, there's just two pieces, not one, to span this length here. Something about the mirror design. I gotta see inside if it's actually detailed. It may not, fortunately, it may not have the full prints though. Well, actually, we're starting to see something here. We got something going on here, some gauges. It's not exactly the same though. Like, the one they had was pretty detailed, even more so. They got like it's a pretty full cockpit print, and this was different. They had some like purge sticker here, not this speedometer, but whatever. And then like along the insides, I think there's a lot more prints, or at least stickers, decals for that. And I'm curious what this is supposed to represent. Does this mean that the tires rotate? If it does, it's kind of showing it going backwards. Because if the car is facing this way, shouldn't the arrow face this way? I don't know what that's supposed to mean exactly. I don't think this flips out, does it? I don't know. I'd have to see. Maybe it does retract in somehow, and then it can also come out. I don't know. There's just missing, like, I see a few prints. Look at it. Like the back should have some patterning. Well, I wanted to give this one a try and see how this compares to the one that I did a while back right here. This is off AliExpress. Let me see if I can grab this guy carefully. Dusty is sitting back there for a couple of days yet. And this is a pretty decent build. I think it's very, if you can look at it, next to GTI there, it's maybe a bit smaller. I was going to say it's maybe close to scale to the GTI, which is kind of similar to, I guess, Speed Champion size. If I don't know, these aren't necessarily in proportion either. If you were to put it next to one of the Speed Champion cars, like the Lamborghini Countach or something, I don't think they all necessarily match up in scale here. Or in proportions. And but yeah, this one's pretty cool. I mean, this is a pretty simple build. I'm guessing there might be just enough room to fit a figure in here, and these doors should come up if I do it carefully. There we go. And it looks possible to fit potentially a minifigure in here. And this is what you see. It's nothing that fancy on the inside, but for its size and everything, I think it does a pretty good job of doing this. And also the fact that the windows come up with the door, which some of these builds, I think like this one probably doesn't. And they don't always do that the way they're built. And this is a tight fit, but it does lock in. Just have to kind of squeeze into this tight angle here. So I was saying about the doors. These don't convert, so they're just always in, I guess, the flight mode. They don't like, these should flip over and then you can see an exposed tire, and that would be, if it's on the ground, it could drive and roll around like that. Not sure how it would necessarily steer, but whatever, it's the way it's designed. I'm curious if this is actually supposed to be like this or actually turned at an angle. This is how they have me design it. I mean, like built it, but it looks like it's on a piece that could potentially, yeah, should be able to turn to the side, and it might need to be kind of like something like that that's angled out. I'd have to look at some reference photos. That would be a pretty easy adjustment, but you know, this gets the point across. And I think this part isn't exactly done right. It should, like, this yellow bar should be kind of at a bit of an angle down like this and wrap around the bottom a bit more, as kind of like, I think, well, maybe it does do that. It's supposed to go across. There's just this piece here that angles down. I'm trying to remember because I have a, well, here, hang on a second. Well, I can't see it. I do have a small model of this. And okay, so judging by this image here, this is from 2049. So this is the one that's parked in the hotel, I guess. That's the casino hotel that Decker's hit up in, and when he's Kay goes to try to find him, I guess, in Vegas, and what's left of it. And you can see that light that I was talking about. I guess that shouldn't be yellow. That might be need to be red, as it's showing red here. That's an easy enough change, but I'm not too concerned at this point. But see that part that's, yeah, see, it's supposed to angle downwards. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the one where it's kind of the yellow and black texture or patterning on around the, sorry, can't really focus on it because of the reflections. I had it for a moment there. Right there, you can kind of see it. Right there. Yeah, it does go down at an angle. That's what I thought. It's back. So yeah, I should angle, because I built a 1/24 scale model of this, the spinner as well. Pretty good size, and it does angle down and around, but it is what it is. I mean, I think they're trying to simulate that idea here, but ultimately from this angle, even from what I can tell, it probably just goes, wraps around straight like that. Not a big deal. But anyways, comparing this one to what I thought it was, actually like a more, since it's been, that was 6 years ago or so, maybe he's had a way to sell the design and have people produce it to some degree. It looks mostly like it, though it's missing a number of decals, unless they're just not shown for some reason. Maybe it actually does have it, but I'm leaning towards the doubtful that they have more than what you see mostly externally, which is fine. This is probably mostly what I'm going to see it anyways, but I do notice that he's had a couple of iterations. Like the one Adam Savage built had like the light bar up in here. It looked more full, like it kind of, it's not supposed to actually go all the way around. It's supposed to be still divided, but his looks more like it's, you can see it more. This looks more recessed in here. And I want to say, I think this other version that I saw, from the same maker. It has a more recessed one, so I don't know. Also, this part again looks not as like perfectly round. Like at least out here, you can see it looks. These pieces tend to. It is round, but it's kind of straight too. Then it rounds and it straights and it rounds around, like, you know. So it's like a rounded square almost, more than a circle. So this is different, from what I can tell from the video I just watched before doing this. Additionally, these look about the same. I wonder if this, it doesn't show here, but and this does have a slightly different stand than the one that he might have made for his. This looks similar on the bottom, which is cool because you see here it's fully tiled off, so it doesn't show any anti-studs, which is nice. It's a clean look, especially if you can view it from the bottom for some reason for display. That'll show up nicer. It's funny they should leave this. I think this is the door on the other side up. Or is it on this side? I think it's on the far side. I don't know why I did that. Hey, but looks, it actually looks like maybe, I didn't think it did from what I saw in the video, but for some, doesn't this look like the glass piece that would be like right in here is lifted up too, or on the other side? I'm not sure which door this is, but I believe it's on the far side, because I think you still see that door and it's glass on there, but again, hard to tell from this angle. It's got wheels, rolls, so for the front, yeah, but I wonder if this does not have, it's supposed to have another set of wheels where basically you can detach this whole unit, and then another one gets swapped in its place that has this part rolled over on the top, and then you can see the exposed wheel and tire on the side here, and it can actually roll too. And so you see this on top, and I don't see that here, but maybe it's in here. This is less pieces though. I think that kit that I'm talking about is about 1,000 pieces. Let's see how this compares to this. You know, the important thing too is that this has to look like also these wheels extend further up front as much as it needs to. This looks about right. I thought maybe this looks more closer, but in fact, if I'm looking at it correctly now, I feel like maybe these are a bit more forward than these. This should be like back about one brick or so, a little bit closer. This part around it should be closer to this part. Just based off of assuming this is in scale, which it should be, you can see, yeah, the light bar is not that far off in this rounded part as compared to that. And I would say this is actually more accurate in that sense, because I've got that light bar here and there, and then this part is not that far away from it. Yeah, well, we shall see. Hang on, let me unbox this, and maybe we can just look inside for a moment. Okay, damn it. I didn't push record when I unboxed it, but basically it has all these pieces. They're all bagged, right, in there. And I'm not going to go through that anymore again. But I was just talking about this, because I was just looking at I was thinking of using this to replace that, and then just scrapping that and giving that to my kids. But since these are two completely different scales now, it looks like, you know, I can tell by the one tire, you know, it's like this big. You know, it's like not that, that's a track tire, but it looks like Lego Icons size, which I believe this is, from judging from the video I watched. This is a pretty big build. It's going to fill up this table pretty wide, actually. Yeah, so I think I can justify two, and this is closer to minifig scale. I'm wondering if hopefully if I can get a set of like custom minifigs of Decker and perfectly the other guy. I can't remember his name, but it was actually the pilot that drove Decker. He should be on here. The guy with the weird eyes, just played by Edward James Olmos. I should know his name, but I don't think about it often enough. If you have to, he's in here, and then Deckard should be here because in the movie he's taking Deckard to go to Tyrell Court in his spinner. But yeah, that would be cool. Then this would be a good minifig scale one. I think pretty decent. I think the look of it. I just noticed that it's missing a blue stripe here, which this actually has it's actually printed on the clear for some of these, so that's good. But I just noticed that now. It's not a big deal. It wasn't a deal breaker, but now that I see that it's not there, I think I'm gonna see if I can get a custom. Look for some vinyl, adhesive vinyl that you can get from like maybe Michael's, or maybe I can find it on online somewhere. Just it's not that big of a roll of it, and just custom cut something so I can place it right over here and just create a frame. I mean, that's what I did for like some of my like up at front. You can't tell, but like where the cockpit is in the window, I actually did some custom like vinyl decals there, and along the back, the engines, like there's some pieces that just don't have the coloring where they need to be, and so I had to add that with some like the orange decals. And again with this, when I had to do like I didn't want to actually paint it. I just used decals to fill in some spots with the white, and then actually some red. Some places I swear I put some red, didn't I? Or was it just white? Maybe it was just white. But anyways, I have some leftover pieces from Cocoon, and I think I gave away my other Anakin Starfire. Although that one is, I think, was bright blue like this. It's funny. It got switched. So the Anakin's for the Lego one is bright like this, but I ended up building one that was darker like this because I just think this one looks better. Just the design of it, I think, looks sleeker and a little bit more accurate, especially the way they did the stripes that are kind of fanning out from the center. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better and closer than the Lego one. And then Plo Koon, his was originally dark blue, at least in the micro fighter, but then I wanted a full-size one, and I went with a brighter blue, which is kind of closer to what you see in the show, the Clone Wars. It's actually in the show, it's actually in between these two, but I think if I were to lean to one color more, tone of blue, it would have been the brighter one. Anyways, so I can do that. It does not come with another set of tires or like a front end like the one from Brickvault did. This part, like this whole section, could be separated out, and then you can replace it with the one with the tires are exposed and they roll, and then this is already on top. It's fixed on top, as it should be when it's on the ground and it's driving or rolling on the ground. But that's fine. I don't really. It's just going to be extra thing to build, and I'm just going to keep it in a bag and store it away because this just frankly looks better in flight mode with these lights on the side, and this looks more sleek, and this is how I always picture this thing anyways, and it just looks more appropriate and better in flight mode. So I don't really need the extra wheels anyways. That's fine. And I'm just curious. Yeah, you know what? Judging from just quickly looking at this front part and the manual for that thing from Brickvault, like Adam was, at least when they first released it, was huge. It was like a small phone book. Yeah, I think this is the same deal here. Like these sections here, I think the way the wheels, sorry, back up. These part attach is similar to the way I saw it in can you build this up? Well, basically, yeah, there's these two pins on the side, and you stick them on there, and then you can remove this whole unit out. So that's kind of cool. You don't have to. It doesn't have to do all the mechanics and make it look uglier, just trying to make the thing physically move. Yeah, see, it's attached this way. So I'm very confident this is basically the same thing as the one that from Brick Vault. It's just the only thing is they have less stickers. Like the inside isn't as detailed, doesn't have all the full instrument cluster, things printed. This just has a couple of things, but it looks like for the most part everything was just designed the same. Except I think this part looks more squared off than the one that originally was made at least 6 years ago. That one looked more rounded. I don't know, maybe there was a revision in design that somehow this shape is more stable and better to build than the previous one. I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be definitely not a one-day thing. So yeah, did I mention that? Yeah, so I guess I'll keep this when I build this. This is going to just be a little bit nicer, more, I guess, generally more detailed, technically slightly more accurate version in a Lego icon size, I think, scale, which is fun. I love the spinner. I mean, I have this now, or when I'm done, I have this small, I think this is a 64th? It's a 143 scale. I don't remember what the scale is on this thing, but nonetheless, and then I also have a 124 scale one that I built a while back. So yeah, it was either going to be, the thing is, I was looking at the Deckard's pistol. That thing is the coolest, one of the coolest weapons in sci-fi ever. It's got to be up there, like the top 5, maybe even top 3 of my favorite weapons in sci-fi. Just the way it looks. And I used to have one. I actually had 2. I had a vinyl kit first that I bought. I think it's Doppelganger. I don't know who made it, but I bought it and I painted it and everything, and that was all right. But it did feel a little bit larger than I thought it would, and I always kind of sucked that it was basically a display prop. Well, they all will be end up being a display prop anyways, but there's no moving features to it. It's just very static, and you just hold it at best. And eventually I sold that. I just sold it, and I got a metal version of it that had the cylinder that opens and the cocking mechanism, and you can put dummy bullet rounds, and it had lights, and it was cool. I mean, I think it was by a brand called Outworld, and the only thing with the metal was kind of cheap and flimsy feeling. I mean, it didn't have tight fitting in the cylinder assembly, that comes out with the rounds. When you put that, you shake the gun, you can kind of hear and feel it rattle a little bit. So it isn't tight. And I'm going to get into this back to a second. But overall, the look of it was cool. The working triggers. I do believe it didn't rotate the cylinders as you fired it. There was a mechanical mechanism that did that. But again, it didn't feel that great, but it worked. And it wasn't that crazy price considering when I got it back in 2006 or 7, I think it was around there. And I had it for a while. I wasn't going to sell it, but then I figured, it's just sitting there. I was just trying to sell all my stuff, and besides, I thought, okay, I can hopefully find a better version of this thing sometime down the line. But in retrospect, I should have just kept it, because these days, trying to find a good replica of one that isn't just a solid piece of plastic or resin or something, right? That's a dummy prop. That's nothing mechanical about it. Those are the ones that you want something that has some functionality and even some metal, and it kind of costs you at least in the thousands. So, and there was the Paragon one that came out somewhat recently, and maybe they have done it before. It's based off of another famous maker of those, and there's a whole fandom around the gun, and you know, you can upgrade the parts. Apparently they weren't always made with all metal parts, and you can upgrade them, and of course I add the cost, but of course you want it would just feel tactile wise, it just feels so much nicer. But again, the one from Paragon, it's about $1,000. It looks really good though. I do hear that there are some issues with the build quality, the fact that it's not completely metal, like in the shroud, the upper receiver, um, maybe some other parts. Only very actually fewer than you think is actually metal, and for $1,000. And again, they did say that some people noted that the barrel chamber with the bullets did seem kind of rattly and you know, not as tight and nice feeling or sounding as it could be. So I decided to hold off on that because 1,000 for a display piece and one that maybe could be better still. I just had a hard time when it came down to it to fork up the money to get it. I was really wanting to, but in the end, for now, I decided not to. And then I still wanted to fulfill my Blade Runner, you know, urges or you know, fandom and wanting to get something. So I did get the pre-ordered and got this finally from Entertainment Earth. I do have K's spinner still on pre-order, but eventually I think it will arrive. And then I was just browsing around for stuff on AliExpress, I think, and then somehow I just found this, and as I looked at closer, I was like, you know, this looks like it could be a pretty good build. Anyways, long story, I guess, but I just like to talk and just explain my thoughts, be it random and unguided often, but that's where I'm at. So I'm going to start on this, see, hopefully I can get through it, and sooner than later, and we'll compare it to that, and maybe make any notes that I need to if there's any way I can improve it. The main thing I can first see is that maybe it's lacking some details in the decals. On the outside, it's not too bad. I mean, it could use like, there should be like a spinner logo that would be, I think, underneath this part. Because I remember that from the model kit that I have. You can kind of see it right there. Right there, that black one right next to the, right there, that one. It's pretty close to that. So there should be something there, right? And then if that's the case, this should be moved over a little bit, but I may not be able to because on the sticker sheet, the decal, if I'm looking at this correctly, this looks like it's one large piece potentially that gets applied to the entire door, unless these are one of those ones that you rub down and then it leaves a, you know, it stays, and then you peel the rest of it off and only that part remains. I don't see any instructions on this. What is this thing here? Please follow the instructions. So I'm not sure what this means. Okay, 1-to-1, but what the heck is this supposed to mean? How many holes? I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. I'll talk more about how good is it and what needs improvements, and if I can actually make any improvements to it without being that much more, or it's not too difficult to figure out some solutions to something that I may want to mess around with. And that's it for now. So the next time, either I'll drop in some videos that show the progress, or at least any potential trouble spots or areas that I would want to modify or fix at some point. I may do that along the build, and then ultimately the thing will be done, and I can talk about it then. All right, that's it. Thanks. Bye.